So, I was recently in the supermarket, and I saw a 5-year-old asking why. I think you've all seen that, right? The little girl tugging the dad's jacket. Dad, Dad, why is the sky blue? Dad, Dad, why is that lady in a wheelchair? Dad, can I at least play with your mobile phone? Finally, the dad's, no, stop asking why, bribes her with some chocolate. We've all seen it, right? I promise you that fast forward a couple years, that same father will ask herself why his girl is not doing well in school. I think we all know why, right? He taught her not to wonder. He taught her to not ask why. And the thing is, why is probably the best question one can ask in almost any occasion. And people who've figured out that master trick, they use it constantly. But most of them use it outwards, towards science, technology, arts, humanities, society. But there's a secret trick that I'm going to tell you today, and that you use that superpower inwards. You ask yourself, why do I think what I think? And why don't I upgrade and change the way I view life? The thing is, it's not super easy though, because our brains have taught us to not change. The brain is essentially a muscle that trains and becomes better at something, and every time it learns something, it tries to not learn new things. And that's why changing is so hard. So you have to create frameworks and structure to do it. And today I'm going to tell you my little framework, but also how I was forced to do it. The thing is, as a background story, I have Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease it's an autoimmune gut disease, which most of the time means I have some stomach pains, I've done some surgery, nothing lethal. But 2007, I was in Thailand with my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. I was running a company and I was super busy, but I have been able to sneak away and get some vacation on this paradise island. But the thing is, it was more than I expected. It was not just going to be this paradise island. So the final day of the trip, I got food poisoning. And I lost 2 liters of blood, which is pretty nasty. I fainted at the airport. I woke up in a Thai hospital, had given blood transfusion, and I'll tell you, if that's not enough to shake your worldviews, what I'm going to tell you next was for me. So I got home, and when I got home, I had to do a routine checkup call for my Crohn's disease. So I called the time booking service. Like, hello, I need to book a time for my Crohn's disease. I do this once in a while, nothing particularly strange. The woman on the other side asked for my number, everything, and there's a set of routine questions before they give you time. One of them being, have you received blood in a foreign country? A question usually I was like, no. Next question. But now I had to say, yes, I actually, I have. Yeah, sir, you'll have to go and check your blood. They're all small things that can be. I mean, worse, of course, hepatitis or HIV. Don't worry, just go check your blood and then call back. Sure. I went and drew blood, waited the 2 prescribed days, called back the same time booking service. Mr. Jakobsson? Yes? I'll have to ask you to call the medical staff right now. I'm sorry? What is it about? I'm sorry, I'm not qualified to tell you. You'll have to call them right now. I hung up. Not trying to think about this too much, of course. I was just, of course, dial the number. Met by the automatic robotic voice saying, the number you're trying to reach, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I hung up. I sat there thinking, what can this be about? Why did she seem worried? Why was it urgent? And how can she not be qualified to tell me what this is about? Suddenly it just struck me. I have HIV. This can't be true. I felt just all cold. It felt I was sitting in complete darkness, even though I was sitting in my little dorm room. Oh my God. And then it struck me. The worst part was not going to have HIV. That's not that bad nowadays. The worst thing is that I could never love and care and have kids. And I could have kids, I guess, but I would always be really, really afraid of contaminating. I would be afraid of being close to them. I would not be able to love and care for them. And to take a step out of that person who I was at the time, sitting there in my dorm room, I was busy running my company. And I can tell you, getting children was very, very far down on my priority list of things I wanted to do. I was lower quartile, even boyfriend material. I was traveling all the time. I was in meetings. If I was physically present, I was absolutely not mentally. I was either on a phone call or I was checking my email. So, I mean, getting kids was just so out of the question. And the same thing for my girlfriend. But now, when I'd lost it, I realized it was the thing I wanted most of all. I felt I was dead. Literally, I felt there was no purpose in me living. It felt really, really horrible, of course. I called the number one more time. And now the medical staff picked up the phone. Gave her my number. I was just ready. Just give me the sentence and then I can ask what next. She goes from hearing my social security number to, Mr. Jakobsson? I was like, yes, just tell it, please. Your iron values are really low. My iron values? Are we talking about supplements and spinach here? If I could stare at somebody through a receiver with anger, I don't know what emotion I actually felt at the time, but surely it was confusion. We hung up. And there was something I really needed to do right now. That was not getting supplements, I'm sorry. I called my girlfriend and said, the project of getting kids starts right now. Able to change her mind, I was very happy about that. We have 3 children today, and I can say getting kids was the absolutely best thing that ever could happen to me for so many things. Not only do my dear 3 children constantly make me a better person, but they also showed me one more thing, and that is I can change my mind about completely everything. And like getting kids, I guess most people go through their period of like, I don't want kids, maybe later, to kind of, oh, I really want kids. But for me, the crazy thing is this happened in a vacuum of 3 minutes between waiting for a person to pick up the phone. And the tightness of that really fused something in me. And I think I started to realize that I needed to be constantly looking to change my mind about things. So that became my modus operandi. And I think I realized also that people are like mobile phones. We all install these nice little apps to learn new skills. We go to a salsa class, download a salsa app. We go to school, download some nice little translation apps. Like we ask a friend, we read a book. And then in the midst of this process, there's this pop-up that says, you need to upgrade your operating system right now. And you know what's going to happen. You know, first of all, you need to plug in a power cable. You need to restart the device. You don't want to do it. We all do the same thing, right? Whether it be our computer or our mobile phone, later. We do the same thing with ourselves. When our views are challenged, we just go, later. Like, I want to be who I am. I know that, like, I've thought about this for a long time. I don't want to change. We let the operative system of us grow stale. And I can say that's a really bad idea. And right now, in this moment, more than ever, we need to upgrade our operative system. Both individually, but also collectively. I'll give you 3 different examples. The first one is what we used to love now controls us. The attention economy. So media, culture, internet, it decides what you are uncomfortable about right now and what you probably need constantly. Secondly, jobs. Digitalization, automation, artificial intelligence. In the short term, we need to change our skills a lot. We need to upgrade and retrain just to even stay relevant. But in a longer perspective, we might be in a situation where humans need not apply for a job. And then I promise you, we need to update and upgrade our worldviews about that to not just this group depressed. And the third subject is the climate, where the Industrial Revolution's compounding interest of growth is finally hitting us really, really hard. And the problem with the climate is not just like we're losing the pandas. It's not that the temperature is increasing. It's not that the water level is increasing. It's that this will change this planet. It will be civil wars. It will be famines. It will be much worse than we think. Then it would be nice to grow wheat in Siberia. I promise you it's going to be bad. So we need to upgrade our views, right? But it's so hard. So how do we do it? Thanks to nearly dying, I figured out this little nifty process for myself. And it's so dead simple. And that's why I'm here today to tell you. It's 2 lists. One list are things that I'm just ambivalent about. I don't really know. Maybe emotionally I changed my mind about something, but logically I still feel the same about it. Maybe I know that I should change my mind, but I kind of still like it this way. But this list helps me to constantly go and find things to change my mind about. It's like chasing Pokemon. You just really want to find another thing to put on the list. You'd go out, you go that extra kilometer, you'd like maybe this thing, maybe this thing. And it's great because the brain is a muscle. It can be trained to do anything. I told you before, it tries to lock down and be thinking as little as possible of new things, but you can teach it to try to chase new things. And that it will do that for you. I'm promising you, you're going to find so many things you might want to change your mind about that you will wish you never learned this thing. I see them constantly. The other list are things that I've actually changed my mind about. And I write, what did I change my mind about? Why did I change my mind? But also, what did I used to think before? That list, I can tell you, has some of the most embarrassing titles and subjects ever. Because now when I change my mind, I look back on who I were, and just think, this is ridiculous. This person was a dork, an idiot, and, everything else. But that list gives me so much confidence that I can change my mind about everything. Because this guy who used to believe these things, I don't even know him anymore. So it's a super powerful list. So the exercise of trying to find things are great, but when you find something, you might want to reject it too. And sometimes I force in things to challenge them into the list. So for example, when the populist, xenophobic parties got elected all over Europe, as the majority, thankfully, of people, I found it repugnant. I found them horrible. But thanks to my lists, or due to my lists, I forced this thing in, and I asked myself, why do I dislike these parties? But the harder question was, why don't I like them? Which of course felt horrible to even think about. But then I would finally be able to put them back where they used to be, where I dislike them. But the exercise is so good. Every time I see something, I force it in, and I let it go. Or I sit there and go, yeah, why do I think this? That's great. The other thing about the list I've found is that some things I've changed my mind about, but it's kind of a gradient. So on one end I have, like if you take the attention economy, I have things that are like highly changed my mind about, almost controversially. I don't read news at all. I know that the UK has some kind of issue, right? I know that the US seems to have an orange-haired president that seems really unsympathetic. I know that Sweden might have a government, or maybe not. But the thing is, honestly, the titles I just gave you, I promise you probably know just as much as I do about these subjects, right? Even though you might read the newspaper every day. Newspapers that make you angry. Newspapers that make you sad. Newspapers that want you to do things. And please, I really felt when I took control of my own mind that I became so much more happy person. The next step there was that I unfollowed everybody on Facebook. My Facebook, I open it and it says error. It still works. I can message people, I can attend events, I can do everything, but there are no people. And it's a bliss. It's amazing. The first days, I refreshed. I felt that I was missing out on stuff. And after a day, my fear of missing out turned to a joy of missing out. Like somebody probably got a new kitten. I don't know. I don't need to know. Somebody probably wrote something I kind of felt nasty about and they're a close friend of mine. I don't need to know. But then there are things that I'm ambivalent about it. Like, yes, I use mobile phones. Yes, I have a lot of technology gadgets. Yes, my kids use screens and I have screen time. I can't really say that I want to completely reject the attention economy. And that's also a super useful thing to realize. Things are not black and white. Some things I do very drastic decisions about, and some things I keep in this ambivalent stage. Maybe I will make harder choices about those two, or maybe I will let them stay, or maybe we'll let go. I don't know. But these two lists have helped me a lot. So what I'm trying to tell you is try to update your views and who you are. And you don't need to die or feel dead to do it, I promise, even though it helps. You can create these frameworks and constantly search for things to update. You can, instead of just installing apps, just let go and click upgrade sometimes. Because yes, just update the OS now. You might get new notifications or something great. And with this process, search to try to find that inner 5-year-old you used to be and ask, why